Creativity in the Age of COVID with Dr. Judi Bloom and Richard Skipper. It's the only program in which therapy and entertainment come together to show everyone not only how to cope in the age of COVID, but how to be creatively productive through it all. And now, Dr. Judi Bloom and Richard Skipper.
Hello, Dr. Bloom. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Richard?
Well, I don't know. Just as we're going live, I get this notification. First of all, you know that Mercury is in retrograde right now.
Right. So
I have received absolutely no notification or anything. And it said that I have run out of space on StreamYard. And so I don't know if today's show is even being recorded or not. So I am hoping we are going out live. So we are live. And my hope, fingers crossed, that this is going to be stored on YouTube and that it will be saved for everyone to see at a later date.
Right.
That's my hope. I have never seen that before. So what a moment, just as I'm going live, to go into panic mode. So other than that, how are you?
Deep breath. Breathe.
You know, it's what a week this has been. I mean, first of all, we are finding out that the algorithms and everything on Facebook is sending hatred into the world.
Right.
For 6 hours, Facebook is taken away from us on Monday. And now this. So how are you? How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Busy. I literally from 8 o'clock this morning until now have not had a break. Literally. So it's been one of those crazy, crazy days, you know?
Well, let's take a collective breath. We've got three amazing women on the show today because they are not only three incredible creative types, they are forging through COVID, they are creating, and they're getting us through this. And that's the amazing thing. We are emerging through this. Popped up this past week. We've been doing this for over a year.
Wow.
Can you believe this?
Yeah, a year. Woo.
And those of you, so I want to thank everyone who's been on this amazing journey with us. Those of you who have been with us, you do know that we were going to change the name of this show. Our hope was that we were going to be on the other side of COVID, but I did hear today there's a huge possibility that within 3 months, the numbers are going to be sliding downward.
Yeah.
So there is light on the other side of that tunnel.
Right. And the reason for that is because more people are getting vaccinated, finally, as well as a lot of people have gotten COVID. So they've developed some antibodies. And a lot of people who would have, are no longer with us as well. I mean, but who have gotten COVID. So it's sort of a combination of all those things have really changed kind of the landscape. And now that we're also going to be having the boosters available, that also I think is going to make a significant difference in terms of the infectious rate. And kids are going to be able to be vaccinated as well.
Yes, Pfizer is making a big push towards that. So that's exciting. So that's something to look forward to. Well, let's get to our show today. We have three very exciting women. Two of them I do know personally, and one we're going to be meeting for the first time. At least I'm going to be meeting you. We both are going to be meeting for the first time because she won a contest, which I am very excited about. We're going to talk about that on Monday night. She didn't even know until Tuesday morning that she was going to be here. And thank God her schedule allows her to be here to talk about the contest. But our first guest today, I met earlier this year, this past year. COVID actually brought us together. Antonia Castro, she has a show called 45 Coffee Dates in Search of a Soulmate. Because, true story, She actually went on 45 coffee dates.
50, actually.
50?
I know it's called 45, but I actually met 50 men for coffee.
I was going to ask what happened
in 90 days.
In 90 days. But I want to say she met her husband. She had a beautiful daughter. She's happily married. So all of these stories happened years ago, but she's put them into a one-woman show. We met because she's also an amazing storyteller. She also has a group, which we will plug, for people who are interested in doing solo shows. So in addition to the fact that she's a brilliant actress, which we will talk about, if you're interested in doing a solo show, Antonia Casper is the person to go to.
Oh,
Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Yeah. So, so
that journey.
I'm sorry.
How old were you when you started, when you did the coffee date thing?
I was 40.
You were
39. 39.
And never married before that?
I had never married, and I don't want to give away too much about the show, but because I'm doing it October 21st, 22nd, and 25th live at the Episcopal Actors Guild in New York City. But he'd never been married either. So it was kismet. But I don't want to say exactly how we met and everything, because I don't want to give away too much if anybody wants to come see the show live. I'm actually giving a discount of $5 off, Skipper 5. I'm going to put Skipper 5 for anyone who wants to come see it. But yeah, I really, I was a musical theater person. I'm from Oklahoma originally. It's the story of the girl. I went to Tulane University, and then I came here to do musical theater. And I realized I was getting up there in age, and I really wanted to get married and possibly have a child. It sort of just hit me. It wasn't like, how some people dream about it all their life. I never really wanted to get married or have kids, but it just hit me suddenly. And I thought, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it soon. So, if I was going to conceive a child and everything. So I completely focused. I looked at it as a kind of a part-time job, and I went online and met 50 men in 90 days at Starbucks over a cup of coffee. I mean, a few of them were dinner dates, but I learned quickly, always meet for coffee, only spend 20 minutes, because the first time you meet isn't a first date. The second time you meet is the first date, because you've never met and you don't even know if you like or are attracted to each other. So I did that, and I just kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and it was dreadful. And there were some really bad dates, and some men hated me. Some men didn't like me either, which, that's fine, whatever. So, but I learned a lot about myself, and it's, I kind of grew up in a dysfunctional family. I'm from a divorced home, and my father was somewhat abusive. So more verbally and mentally abusive than physically abusive, but it really kind of messes up your head psychologically with healthy relationships. So I had to really overcome some of those obstacles, but it's mainly a comedy. There's some drama in it. It's a lot of fun. And I wrote it as a book originally. The book isn't out yet, because what happened is I started reading excerpts of the book, and I thought, I'm an actress, and I've done a one-woman show a long time ago. And I thought, I really want to do a one-woman show again. I think it would be great. And I was reading excerpts from the book, not even thinking it was a show. Like I didn't even think that way. And people kept coming up to me saying, you really should do this as a one-woman show. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is my show. So the show sort of took off, and hopefully I'll get the book out next year. It's been a journey. So.
It sounds like a journey. How many of those coffee dates actually did you wind up going out with for any period of time?
Three of them. Three. And then my husband. So 4, I guess, altogether. So, but yeah, I mean, I learned, it was great because I learned a lot about myself, more than, trying to find the right guy. And I got to a point where I felt good about myself. I felt like I was in a healthy state of mind, and I almost didn't need a relationship anymore. I was, it was okay if it wasn't going to happen. And then it happened. So, my daughter is now, she's 12 now. I was a stay-at-home mom for a good, 6 or 7 years. So I really just kind of got into doing this show a few years ago. So
now I have a question that I've never asked you before, but your husband, obviously, is he one of the characters that are depicted in the play? And what are his thoughts, and also your daughter's thoughts, about the fact that this is being played out by their mom and wife on stage each night?
Yeah. Well, my husband, he's like, I know the ending. That's all that matters. I mean, he used to be an actor, but he's a baseball. He's like a sports guy. I mean, I was the nerd in high school. I married the jock. Okay. Go figure. So no, he's really proud of me, and it's really I tell them both, it's really a tribute to them, really. It's about my journey, and I'm hoping it will help people. I want the message that it's never too late for self-discovery or love, no matter how old you are or what background you came from. But my husband's really proud of me, and it's kind of weird. I don't like to rehearse in front of him when I'm doing him. And he's a lot like me, so we're so similar. He's difficult to play. He's a difficult character to play in it. And my daughter, she's seated, and she's, she didn't realize I went through so much to have her. So it's good. It's a good tribute sort of to them. I'm paying homage to them sort of. So.
Well, I want to use this as a segue to our next guest, because I love the fact that you say it's never too late, to start out. I am a huge devotee of Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way. She's written several books. And last night, as a matter of fact, I started with a new group, and this is the book that we are now doing. It's Late to Begin Again. Do you know the book?
No, I don't, but I like the title.
Yes.
I like the title.
I love this book. And and we started last night, was the first night. And I thought, how appropriate that we started this book last night when we have Robin Lyon Gardner on the show today, because Robin had a very successful career in the theater. She's left, she's done other things, but then she heard about this contest that was presented by the Three Tomatoes, Cheryl Benton, Randy Levine Miller, who I want to give a shout out to. I saw clips from the show. Randy, you've never sounded better. You've never been better. Do your own show.
I love Randy. Just so you know,
it's
great.
Now she's going to be singing this, I hope. It's now your time. Robin, you were one of 11 contestants. I want to begin by saying each and every one was a winner.
100%.
You stepped into the spotlight at the end of the show in the winner's circle. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, tell us a little bit about your background and the fact that you have done Broadway and quite a prolific career, and what took you in other directions.
Very, very fortunate. Also a musical theater background. I went to Syracuse University, and right out of college moved to New York. And 8 months out of college, I was cast in the bus and truck of a chorus line. So, the dream come true job. I was not even, a dancer. I was a singer, actress, dancer. And from the bus and truck went to the international company. From the international company was brought into the Broadway company, where I closed the original company on Broadway. Felt so lucky. I kept auditioning and went into another show right after Chorus Line, Aspects of Love. And then I had my first child. I always wanted to have kids and was married at 27 and had my daughter, and then 3 years later, I took her on tour to play opposite Donny Osmond in Joseph. And that was so much fun because, the kids' choir, and she was just so comfortable moving from city to city and picking up and making new friends. And then I came off the road from that, had a second child, my son. And then I did one more Broadway show, Ain't Nothing But the Blues, when he was about 2 and my daughter was then 7. And then my marriage was failing, even though we had the most wonderful, I want to say at least 25 years together.
Mm.
It wasn't, we weren't happy. And I always knew that I would never live unhappy. I am a really happy person. And so 2004, I separated and was on the road to divorce. And I really couldn't wait for I was going to be primarily taking care of my kids and bringing them up in New York City. So I had to figure out something else. I couldn't wait for my next Broadway show. So I walked away from a very lucrative and wonderful career and was a full-time mom until I became a full-time real estate broker.
Wow.
Which in my one-woman show, which I launched a few years ago, it's a very parallel career to show business. So
Wow.
I was pretty good at it since I already kind of knew how to do all of that. And for the last 15 years, I've done New York City real estate. I had one phenomenal musical director who made me promise when I launched my kids that I would go back to show business. And
Well, will you say who that is?
Michael Orland,
Whose birthday is today?
whose 60th birthday.
Yes,
is
welcome to the 60s.
6-0, as I say, 6-0.
Yes.
He has just been with me since 1983 when I did my very first one-woman cabaret show. And all along he's been saying, okay.
If I may just give a plug for Michael. Michael, for those of you who do not know, is the musical director for American Idol, among many other things. Just incredible. Yes.
Incredible. Has played for every major star on the planet. So when I get him, I feel incredibly lucky. And he just kept hounding me. I have 2 amazing children who are now 29 and 24 years old and launched. They are living 3 blocks away from me, each of them. So umbilical cord still attached in some strange way, and both of them very successful. So there was no excuse. So, I did my own show called Been There, Done That, Now What? And it is autobiographical. And Antonia, I can absolutely feel that 50 dates. I've done the 50. Oh my God. Many more than 50, but we should talk. I should talk and pick your little brain about that. And so I launched my own show, and that was very, very important and therapeutic. And I've done it in the city. I've taken it to Chicago and LA. And that's where I was at the Triad. The man who booked me said, I'm submitting you for this contest. This was like 2 years ago. And I said, okay. I mean, women over 40 who've had challenges in their life and want to get back into show business. I said, yeah, that's right up my alley.
Now, this was before COVID, and then COVID. Yes. Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry, Dr. Bloom.
No, and I just want to chime in. I went on after I was also married 25 years and then got divorced and went on probably close to 100 dates.
Yes.
And then finally met my husband, who I just got married to this summer.
Oh, congratulations.
For me.
And then him at a party.
Yes. Incredible.
I will find my person.
Yes,
you will.
Yes, keep the energy out there. Keep positive. Keep meeting new people if you can.
I do.
Smile, even though you're wearing a mask. Smile with your eyes.
Well,
Yes.
we're gonna talk a little bit more about last Monday night and everything. But one of the things that Julia Cameron talks about is synchronicity, and I want to talk a little bit about synchronicity and Anne Tallman, because I have a one-man show about my moving to New York, and I was at Feinstein's 54 Below one night, and I was telling a story, true story. When I came to New York, I went to see The Little Foxes on Broadway, and I was and still am a huge, huge fan of Elizabeth Taylor. And I always thought that Elizabeth Taylor looked like my Aunt Janice. So I managed to get backstage, and as Elizabeth Taylor walked past me, I said, "My God, she does look like my Aunt Janice." She stopped in her tracks and she said, "Don't you think your Aunt Janice looks like me?" And I said, "No, my Aunt Janice is a lot older than you." And she burst out laughing and she said, "Who are you?" And I saw the show that night, and I was invited backstage to meet Elizabeth Taylor. And after the show, I was invited back into Elizabeth Taylor's dressing room. And we talked mostly about my coming to New York and this incredible evening. And as I left Elizabeth Taylor's dressing room, she kissed me, and I was kissed by Elizabeth Taylor. And I'm sitting at Feinstein's telling this story, and this wonderful woman sitting at the next table is eavesdropping and hearing the entire story. And I'm describing the dressing room and everything in the dressing room. And Anne Tallman comes over and said, "I was Elizabeth Taylor's daughter in that show." And she verified that my story was true because of the way I was describing the dressing room. So she's my witness. Anne Tallman!
It's true. It's
Welcome, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome here. You are writing a new show about being Elizabeth Taylor's daughter. You both got your equity cards together on Broadway. You had this amazing journey. You remain friends for the rest of her life. You also have a beautiful show that you wrote about your brother called Woody's Order. And you also have been branching out and performing in the cabaret rooms around town over the past few months. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Anne, what is your favorite Liz Taylor story?
Well, first of all, you must never call her Liz.
Whoa.
She hated to be called Liz. It's Elizabeth. Elizabeth. So I have like a whole bunch of them, but she loved to play pranks. She was a real prankster, during performance and stuff. And well, one time she replaced all the prop booze with real booze throughout the entire performance. Every time there was booze, it was real for a performance. And, unbeknownst to her, someone in the cast was a friend of Bob, a recovering, and he said that when he got it right up to his nose, he said, "Uh-oh," and faked. But one thing that my favorite is at the end of the play, Horace, her husband, has a heart attack at the top of the staircase, and basically, plays a whole scene. And by the time he's at the bottom of the staircase, he falls over dead. and Elizabeth one night in performance slathered Vaseline on the banister of the staircase. And I think we took like 10 minutes off the show because he just went, Oh my God, it was so funny. So she would do things like that.
Wow, she was beautiful and a great personality, right?
Oh, yes, and very generous.
But Anne, I mean, if you can take us back to that time also, I mean, this was her first Broadway show.
And mine too.
I have always thought that she was an amazing actress. I mean, 2-time Academy Award winner. a lot of people did not take her seriously as an actress because of her beauty. And she was really trying to prove herself as a legitimate actress, and coming to Broadway at this time. And for those who don't remember, this was right on the heels of her marriage to Warner, coming to New York, and the jokes, the Joan Rivers jokes,
Yeah.
about her weight and everything. It was a very emotional roller coaster ride for herself as well.
Yep.
What surprised you the most about her as an actress? And what are some of the life lessons that you learned from her, both as an actress and as a human being?
She was very, very hardworking and serious about being a really good actress on stage. And since she had never really done a play, she'd done some readings of scripts, like, but she insisted, and we were the first Broadway play ever to rehearse in a Broadway theater for the entire rehearsal process.
Wow.
And that was so that she could be sure that she was projecting properly. And it was her idea, along with Zev Buffman and Austin. And so we rehearsed at the Golden Theater for the entire rehearsal process of like 4 to 6 weeks before we then went into previews in Fort Lauderdale. And I just loved that about her, that was really important to her. And she really was really good. She was, oh man. And I had forgotten how good she was. And I saw a tape recently of some of the scenes. She was mesmerizing. That part was perfect for her, Regina. And what my cabaret show that I'm doing is about, and it's called The Shadow of Her Smile, is right before I moved to New York when I was 20, my mother passed away very suddenly. And when I met Elizabeth, it was almost like she sensed that I was motherless. And she just immediately took me under her wing, but in a motherly way. And she taught me a lot about what's important and what isn't important. And like, she would joke that, oh, don't take yourself too seriously. Nothing's forever, especially beauty, and so my show is called The Shadow of Her Smile, because when I met her, I was a bit like a piper with a broken wing, and she took me under her wing and mothered me. And when she passed away, people reached out to me as if I had lost my own mother again. It was extraordinary. She gave me a lot of advice about things, like love and romance. And she really loved being a mother, and she loved her children very, very much. And I was kind of like her extra daughter. And we would have slumber parties, and she would just tell me things like, well, I don't think you should do this, and here's why. And, or well, yes, he's wonderful, and I know you love him, but I don't think you should marry him, and, and stuff. I mean,
if anyone knows about marriage, it was Elizabeth Taylor.
Well, and I would say, well, you keep getting married so many times. She says, I love being married. So really, that's the theme of this cabaret that I'm going to debut at 54 Below in March. Because my mother, my real mother, and I were not close at all. My mother had suffered from severe clinical depression the entire 20 years that I knew her. And when she passed away, it wasn't so much that I missed my mother, I missed a mother. She had not mothered me. And however, I have an older brother who was severely cerebral palsied, nonverbal, spastic, quadriplegic. And when my mother passed away, I took over her role of caregiving him. And then my father got Alzheimer's and I took over taking care of him. So throughout my career, there are huge gaps because I would just disappear caregiving for, and
Did you do that show on 36th Street years ago? I think I saw that show. Woody?
Oh, Woody's Order. Well,
Yeah.
I did it at Solo Theater Festival. Yes.
I think
yes.
I saw it. Yeah.
Oh,
it was great.
Yeah. I've done it all around. And then I wrote a play about my brother and about how I took care of him. But at certain times I lost myself, like caregivers so often do. But by the end, he and I were able to have our own rites of passage and float together without sinking in the ocean, so to speak. And I never wanted him to see it in a theater around people because it was too emotional. So I got the idea to film myself doing portions of it for him on a stage at Ensemble Studio Theater. And it turned into a documentary, which premiered at Tribeca and has been all over the world and won all kinds of awards. And then he passed away in 2018. And then before COVID, but in 2018, I decided to do a self-designed grad school for myself because when my mother died, I couldn't go to grad school. I just knew my hands were too full. And then when COVID happened, I ramped it up and I graduated this past summer. So.
Congratulations. That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And my grad school was all about coming back as a cabaret singer because really that's how I started out. I mean, I've just been a singer since I could talk and all through high school, college, and even while I was doing Broadway show, I was a singer. So
that's great. Dr. Bloom, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I love the journeys that all of you are talking about. They have such resonance, I think, with so many people, and are really a good example of, how we can be creative in our lives, not just during COVID, but in general, how to really take control of your own life and create the kind of life that you want. And if your life isn't working for you, you make changes. And no matter what the obstacles are along the way, like Anne was talking about, she had major obstacles along the way, but that didn't stop her. Detoured a little bit along the way, but that's okay. She made the most of it and found ways to make it okay, So I just find it really, all three of you, really inspirational.
Absolutely. What I'm really loving about today's show is the honesty that each of you are bringing with each of your stories. When I did my own one-man show about my journey to New York, my sister said, be very careful with what you put on stage because she was afraid of, some stories coming out. And I'm going to ask each of you, and I want to start with you, Antonia, because you do teach courses in, doing solo shows and everything. How do you censor yourself in terms of what you decide what will go on stage and what will not go on stage? And do you sometimes gauge what will go there and what will not go there based on the audience response to certain things?
Yes, I actually, I actually changed the names. I mean, my parents are both deceased. So, but I feel like my father, he was a pretty respected physician in Northern California. And so even though I'm his daughter, I changed his name in it. And there's certain things that I did edit out that, now everything's so PC that it's so hard. I used to do stand-up comedy. So it's so foreign to me to not be able to laugh at certain things. I mean, I understand, I get it, but it's so extreme now. I can't even really laugh at myself. So yeah, you have to be really careful now, and also for the privacy of the people that you're writing about. I know some people that have written solo shows about their family members, and their family members are not allowed to see the show. So I do think people need to be sensitive to other people, especially if it's personal, and also if you want to avoid maybe getting sued. I think everybody has to consider that. And just so you know, I don't really help people develop their shows per se. I actually have more of an accountability group, where it's like a mastermind and mentorship program, so that you can meet with people every month or every couple of weeks, and be accountable for your goals, especially now. So I think it's really needed. I do more of that than the developmental process. But yeah, I think people need to be aware, put yourself in those people's shoes, and how would they feel if they saw that on stage. But then there's also the creative part, where if you want to make a statement about something, then maybe you do need to make, not specific people, but the general audience, maybe they do need to feel uncomfortable to make a point. I mean, I think it varies, and it's dependent on the people, the person, and the subject matter, really.
And I want to ask you the same question, Robin, but before we get there, I want to get back to Monday night's show. How did you choose the material for Monday night show? Were you coached in terms of what you should do, or were you given pretty much free rein to do what you wanted to do in the show? I mean, you have no gauge as to what the other contestants were doing. How do you choose for an evening like that?
I found this song when I was writing my one. Well, I heard this woman perform Memory with the lyrics that she had changed, with these very hysterical lyrics. And I heard it on a YouTube years ago. And I said to myself, if I ever do another one woman show, I am absolutely stealing that and making it mine. Like, that is going to be my theme song. When you're getting older, the scariest thing about going back onto the stage after so many years of not performing is remembering your lyrics, which at one time in my life was the easiest thing I had ever done. I never thought about it, but preparing for my one woman show, I was terrified that I would forget my lyrics. So I incorporated this song Memory, so that I had something to refer back to when I did forget my lyrics. Go, you see, this is why I chose this song. And it's very, very funny. Not only is it show off my voice vocally, because it's Memory from Cats, so huge belt number, but it's very funny. And I think I think I'm funny. And
well, obviously you won.
But I think that's the best. When you're doing these types of shows, it's hard to pull off a ballad. You want to do something up-tempo, uplifting, something that gets the audience. And this one just happened. I really honed this one and have made it mine. People think I did write it. I didn't write it. I should give the writer all the credit, which I will in my next show. But I think that it serves me well, because every time I do it, it just gets, especially if there's older people in the audience, everyone can relate to it. So I had a good feeling about that number.
Now that this has happened, and that you have your one woman show, do you think that you would be interested in pursuing going back to Broadway, or pursuing a life in the theater again?
Well, right before COVID, I was turning 60 in 2019, and it was a big year. Both my kids were graduating, one from law school, one from undergrad. I mean, we were having a big year. And I said to my friend, who was my agent, I want to be seen for Dear Evan Hansen. I play softball in the Broadway Show League for 37 years. And that's my show. I played for Dear Evan Hansen, and I love that show. And I said, if I ever go back, it's got to be like in a role like that. And I said to her, I really, really, really want to be seen for that. I know the casting director. She's known me my whole New York life. Put me back in that room. And she got me an audition.
Oh, wow.
For both mothers. And it was terrifying and spectacular all at once. They gave me so much material to learn, all these songs, all these scenes. And I got in the room for the creatives. And that was, that's when I knew, I think that I have this left to do. I would like to go back and leave Broadway on my own terms, not because, life took over. I think I have it in me to do this again. So
of course you do. That's great.
Yeah, it was very exciting. I didn't get it, but that's okay. It was we got great feedback, and it really made me go, okay, I can do this.
Well, you can do probably anything. I mean, one of the things I read was that you sang the national anthem at Madison Square Garden for 20 years.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
No, that's not fun. It's fun to be there and do it, but that song is not fun to sing.
No.
Yes. My ex-husband used to string, he was a tennis player, and he used to string the rackets for the women at the Virginia Slims, which took place at the Garden. And one year, their anthem singer had died of AIDS, like right before the show, the tournament. And my ex-husband said to the ladies, my wife could do it. And they're like, we need a professional. She should really, be a name or somebody professionally. Says, well, she's in a chorus line on Broadway right now. And they went, okay, bring her in. Down here, let's hear her. They stuck me in the middle of Madison Square Garden with a microphone to empty seats and said, okay, go ahead, sing it. Let's hear it. And then they said, okay, you're hired. And that's how it started. And then the woman from the Knicks heard me sing it at the tournament. She asked me to sing for the Knicks, and kind of snowballed into a fan favorite at the Garden.
Right. Amazing.
And what about you, Anne? Any desire to go back to Broadway? And you've also done sitcoms. I'll share with everyone, if you don't mind, Seinfeld, very famous episode on Seinfeld. And may I also tell, dated very well-known comedian. I'll let you take it from there.
Well, yeah, I've done 4 Broadway shows and a lot of off-Broadway. I'm on 2 cast albums. I've done a lot of TV and film. And my last Broadway show was The Women, and I was in it, and I stood by for Cynthia Nixon. And then I was caregiving for a while. So I'm back, I'm auditioning for Broadway. I've been really close for some great things. And I'm often now considered to stand by for like Cherry Jones or Cynthia or, and
I want to know who you dated. What comedian did you date?
Michael Richards, Kramer.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And we're still good friends. Michael and I, we met when I did my guest spot, and I fell in love with him while he was working out the convulsions to Mary Hart's voice on Entertainment Tonight. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in love. Because he choreographed it like a dance. He was, talk about a consummate professional. He was amazing. And so I've never, I'm often considered to stand by for, the sister on Roseanne. Who am I thinking of? Laurie Metcalf. So eventually I'll be back on Broadway. I just will. I haven't left. I never left. Mm-hmm. But the singing thing is all through the 80s. I was going to do a whole show called Me and the Girl Who Got It, because I was always second choice for all the leads in the Broadway musicals of the 80s, like Les Mis, Rags, Sunday in the Park, just on and on and on. And it kind of got to me, and I left singing for a while, which was really stupid because it's what I do best, actually. And I know that my way back in, and really what I can do, no matter how old I am or whether I'm on Broadway or not, is I can sing. And I love cabaret. I love it. And I love writing a show and then making songs your own, through the work that you do with the lyrics. I just love it. And so my grad school was all about like music theory and just tons and piano, because I was accepted at Carnegie Mellon for voice. And I ended up not being able to go. And so it was like, okay, well, this is my Carnegie Mellon.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'll be back on Broadway. They just don't know it yet. That's all.
Oh, they know it now.
So I've been thinking all along, and
when you put it out there. When you put it out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Dr. Bloom?
I'm just, enthralled by the stories and by the persistence and gumption and, can't fail attitude, that all of you really possess, which is exactly what it takes to succeed. It's and not being afraid to try something and try it again. And if you don't succeed, you try it again. Mm-hmm. Because eventually it will work. You will get what it is you're looking for.
And like for me, going on Broadway for Elizabeth was exactly that. She was kind of like rebirthing herself, and you can just keep doing that forever. Yeah. You can always.
It's kind of like we're rebirthing ourselves through COVID too. You know what I mean? Like Richard's book. We have to. I mean, look, Richard may not have been doing these celebrate if there was no COVID. I mean, I'm trying to find all the positive things for what we've been through, but I think we all are probably still struggling with a little post-traumatic stress disorder, and coming back to the real world. But yeah, it's been a real, like what we all done as women and men, continuing to persist. We've had to really do during COVID, and find new ways, I think. I mean, that's what I went through. I don't know.
And as a performer, the whole COVID thing with Zoom for me was like film class. You had to, I had to learn how to sing on Zoom, and I do readings all the time. And it is a masterclass in film acting. It's totally different. And I think it's always going to be with us now. So we better know how to do it,
Yeah, I did my one woman show for a festival it was San Francisco, Berkeley. It was the Marsh. It was a solo festival. And I had to rework the whole show for camera. But then I discovered all these fun things that you can do, So, but it's weird because it's not really film TV, but you're doing theater, but you're on kind of a camera. So it's like this weird,
And at 54 Below, when you're doing your show now, they're live streaming.
Right.
So, the more you know about that and feel comfortable with it, the better.
Well, as we're going to be wrapping up in a few moments, these hours go by so fast. But the one theme that I think that runs through all of our stories is adaptability. We have to be able to adapt. As I said, if you all heard as you were waiting in the wings to come on, just as we went live, I get a notification saying we may not have enough space here. So I want you all to put a collective conscious thought out there that, retrograde or not, this show recorded today. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around, and each of you are going to have a chance to have your final word today. It could be about anything that we talked about today that you want to expound upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had. If you want to plug your show again, you can do so. But please note that all the details for your upcoming shows will be in the subject of on YouTube, provided that we will be there. Or if there's anything that we didn't talk about that you want to, just a message that you want to put out to everyone as well. And we will do it in this order. Antonia, Robin, Anne, and Dr. Bloom will have the final word. But I'm going to start, and then I will leave the screen. I want to thank everyone for being here today. As I've said in previous shows, I don't take it for granted that you could have been anywhere else for the last hour. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope that you will subscribe to Richard Skipper Celebrates, that you will leave a comment here on this show, and that you will share this with your friends. Dr. Bloom and I do these shows every other Thursday. We will be back on the 28th. We do these shows for you. So if you have ideas for guests, topics, anything, please let us know. We do them for you. So I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list. If Facebook is there tomorrow, it could be gone. Who knows? But go to your Facebook friends list. And the 7th name that pops up, reach out with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private message, a phone call. Will all of you do this? Will you promise you'll do this? The 7th name, reach out with a phone call and tell that person what they mean to you in your life. Because as a dear friend of mine says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. You never know what someone else is going through right now. But if you're going to go in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along. I'm going to leave the screen, and Antonio, it's yours. You've got the next word.
Okay. Well, wow, that's tough to follow, right? No, I want to say to everyone here and there to just try to stay positive and connect with people. I think it has been a really difficult time for everybody, and coming out of it, I think is maybe as difficult for some people. So make sure you reach out to your friends and your family and see how they're doing. But also, if you want to come and laugh some, I mean, there's a little bit of drama, but it's mainly comedy, I think. Come to see 45 Coffee Dates in Search of My Soulmate through cyberspace and beyond. It's October 21st, 22nd, and 25th, which is a Thursday, Friday, and Monday evening at 7 p.m. at the Episcopal Actors Guild here in New York City. Tickets are below or whatever. I'd love to. It's very clean space. They've done all the COVID protocol. If you have to show your vaccination, your card, your photo ID, and wear a mask. Everybody's vaccinated, so hopefully we'll be returning to live theater again, everybody, and just hang in there. And we're coming back. Performers are coming back. Broadway's coming back. I think it's going to be great in the next couple of months. I think we're going to just make a real big turn for the better. So anyway, it was good seeing you guys, and it was good meeting you all here. Bye.
Yeah, I think just for me, while it was a difficult time, I thought it was a really important time to figure out what's important in your life and how much you really don't need, how much you really just need the people in your life, and to never, ever take anything for granted ever again. I've kind of always lived that way, and even more so now. Just every day is a gift, and I try to live it every day to the very fullest, with a very positive attitude, a lot of humor, and just appreciate everything that I have, and be courageous. Be courageous in your life. It's one life. This is not a rehearsal. We have one life to live. Let's live it and do everything possible to make it the best that we can, and do everything on our bucket lists and beyond.
Well, my dad was a colonel in World War II, and he used to say, "Try to relax, dear. Remember, even D-Day was delayed on account of weather." and I love that, because I really have, with age, learned how to be flexible and adaptable, and that's a great lesson to learn. And two things that I always do now. One I always did is, whenever I see a penny on the street or whatever, heads down, I turn it over and leave it heads up for the next person. And the other thing that I've been doing since we've reopened again is that if I go out to dinner, I never finish my meal. I ask the waiter or waitress to wrap it and include some plastic utensils and a napkin. And as I walk home, I always find a homeless person to give it to. And we have to be good to each other.
Yes. Taking care of each other and taking care of ourselves. I think that's really kind of the lesson of today, that in taking care of ourselves, we also take care of others. And taking care of ourselves means that we keep going, we don't give up. We know that we're going to get through this time, and that there will be other challenges ahead, and we're going to be able to meet those as well. So having that kind of mindset that no matter what, you can persist and you can do this, and not give up hope. Never give up hope. And I think that's really the lesson of today.